Welcome back to Fickle Sports, and the Premier League is finally back. And you know what that means. That is score prediction time over here. And there's nothing worse than suffering lockdown with international football. Won't you agree, Alex?
No, there is nothing worse. Other than my lockdown hair and beard currently going on, I don't know what to describe it as, but I apologise to everyone's eyes in advance.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, as you know that today was supposed to be the pick and payoff, but Alex has been stressing out at how terrible the payoff is. He has forgot to groom, but we are not doing the payoff this week. We're going to have to do it next week. Alex has run scared, but it'll be doubly as worse.
Yes, make sure you tune in next week to see me do something I can assure you I do not want to do. Let's quickly move on to scores from last week. Up on your screen right now is a brand new table which Gary has been working really hard on. It's taken him 6 months to do this. It's a table of everyone's scores from the score predictions. It's not only mine and Gary's, it's everyone who took part in the survey. As you can see, I'm rock bottom last. Gary is not as shit as me, but still pretty shit as he's second bottom. And a quick shout out to Roberto Hollis, who was our top scorer. Well done, Roberto. But we move on. We move on to hopefully what will be much better predictions for this game week. And first up is Newcastle versus Chelsea. It is happening on Saturday at 12:30, and Newcastle are at home. Now, Newcastle, they just seem to be, all teams seem to be going into different groups. And Newcastle fall into the group of teams along with maybe West Ham, Leeds are there a little bit, but they're just a team, I have no idea which Newcastle is going to turn up. And unfortunately for them, it wasn't the good Newcastle against Southampton. They just didn't create enough chances really to get at Southampton. I don't think they ever looked really like scoring. I don't think they played particularly well, so they'd need a much better performance coming into this game. Form is their side a little bit because in their last game against Chelsea, they did win.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's great. Sprinkling of positive news for Newcastle.
Niceness, yeah, just salt bait it in.
Chelsea, on the other hand, I was very impressed. You know, they went 1-0 down. They showed that they didn't faze them, and they had that man Ziyech, who was, that left foot of his was just like a wand, right? He was unpicking that Sheffield United defense non-stop, and you know, I found it really weird. Did you see that goal Chilwell scored? He basically scored it off his arse and in. It was kind of a weird goal to see, but
he'll take whatever he's given.
Yeah, if I could score a goal off my arse every week, I would. But yeah, Ziyech, maybe he's the answer. Maybe he's the difference maker in terms of like working in that half space and really causing defenses problems. And you got Mendy, who is not throwing goals throwing balls into the back of his own net compared to Kepa. So Chelsea look decent now.
What's your prediction for this one?
Ooh, yeah, I can't look past Chelsea. I really can't look past Chelsea. They look to be purring every week. They look to be looking better in the attacking sense. So I'm going 2-0.
I am going for 4-2 Chelsea.
Ooh. Up next is Aston Villa versus Brighton, Saturday 3:00 at Villa Park. Now, Carl, Aston Villa fan Carl, I said we weren't friends before this game, but I probably should have declared peace before that game happened.
For everyone wondering, that is what verbally it sounds like to see someone tuck their tail between the legs.
It's so bad. But you know what? Fair play to Aston Villa, because they set up absolutely perfectly. Absolutely perfectly. They knew Arsenal would try and pop it about and systematically try and break them down. But you know what? Aston Villa, they were very compact. When Arsenal tried to move it into midfield, they pressed them at the right time, and they just sprung attacks one after another with Jack Grealish, Barkley, Ollie Watkins. And you know what? It was the first time that I saw Ollie Watkins up front, up close, and I was really impressed with his hold-up play. As much as all the rest of the players got plaudits, because Jack Grealish and Barkley were essentially dancing on the Arsenal defenders and tearing us to shreds.
Yeah, I think it was like almost perfect setup by Dean Smith. But for Brighton, you know what, I find myself either saying two things about Brighton. Either one, that they played really well but they didn't get the result they deserved, or they don't play well and they don't get the result they deserved. And I think that's a problem for Brighton. It doesn't matter how well or how badly you play. The most important thing is that you get 3 points, and that is what they're really, really struggling to do at the moment. Against Burnley, I think they had the better chances. I think they had the chances to win the game. They just did not take them. They just don't ever seem to score enough to actually win them the game. And I think it's going to get to the point where if they don't start turning these good performances that they do have into points, they are going to start to worry, I think.
Yeah, Neil Maupay dropped for not having enough humility. Sorry, there's a dig ever since that performance against Arsenal.
Yeah, as long as you know. I was about to go in on you then.
Yeah, score predictions. What do you think?
After that result by Villa, I can't see anything but a Villa win, so I'm going to go 2-1 Aston Villa.
I'm going 2-0 Aston Villa. You know, Jack Grealish is on an absolute high. Got his England full start. Yeah, I can't look past Aston Villa.
And the best player on the pitch.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we move on to the penultimate game on Saturday, and it is Tottenham versus Man City. It's taking place at 5:30 at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Now, what I'm about to say about Tottenham and the West Brom game, you could probably copy and paste it from the Burnley and the Brighton game. Tottenham did not play particularly well against West Brom, but like the other two games previous, they still managed to get the win. And I would love to say right now that it was down to Kane and a brilliant header. I think the West Brom goalkeeper Johnson, I think he was more at fault than anything. Yeah. Tottenham, really, if they want a result against Man City, they cannot play as average. I won't say badly, but they haven't played well. They cannot put in a similar performance against Man City because they will punish them.
Yeah, and I feel like Mourinho loves these wins, but he knows that, you know, the Tottenham are not properly firing and he's not getting ahead of himself at all. Man City, I feel really bad for them. Well, not really that bad for them, but they played much better than Liverpool, and you could say they should have taken all 3 points. It was silly to go 1 goal behind with that silly penalty. Walker conceded against Sterling, and they had so many chances they did equalise and to take the lead. You know, Sterling should have squared it to Jesus. De Bruyne, wow, trying to be too precise for that penalty and absolutely missed it. We've all been guilty of that, so I won't blame him too much. But yeah, they had great chances in the second half, and that was it might come down to beating Liverpool at home for the title, so they might be kicking themselves for that.
What's your prediction for this one?
In my mind, I was going Man City win, but last season I think Tottenham had 3 shots and they managed to get 4 points off of Man City, so I'm going 1-1.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you're wondering if he's just chatted shit, I can confirm to you that is the absolute truth.
That is unreal. So that's why I'm too cautious.
My head's saying that City haven't been playing particularly well, so at any point we could win it. Do you know what, Gary? Right, my heart is saying that Tottenham can win this. My head is saying Tottenham can win this, and therefore, for that reason, I am going 2-1 Manchester City because they never agree with each other. So therefore, they have to be wrong.
Next up is Man United versus West Brom Saturday at 8 o'clock. Now, Paul Pogba dropped from the team, and there's still no space for Van der Beek. I was quite impressed. You know, Everton went 1-0 up, and Man United came back, and what a cracking header by Bruno Fernandes, and another ghost goal that didn't make any sense. You know, that glancing header by Rashford didn't get a touch. That was interesting, and Cavani got his first goal finally after multiple substitute appearances. But I want to know, did you see that Pickford attack, malicious attack on Maguire? Basically took him out.
I'm surprised the police haven't been involved.
Pickford is working for every other team to try and assassinate every other defender in the Premier League. I don't know. I commend.
If I speak, I'm in trouble.
I commend.
Straight out of Mourinho or Wenger. I did not see it. I feel like if whatever I say, I'm going to upset someone. So I'm gonna leave you to that one, Gary. Yeah. You can dig your own trouble.
But you know, Man United, they desperately needed that win. You know, losing against Arsenal in poor fashion, and you know, letting a 60-year-old Demba Ba score against them in the Champions League. So they were desperate for this win, and a good win for them.
We move on to West Brom. West Brom, so in the game before Tottenham's game, they lost to Fulham. They didn't play brilliantly, and they walked away with 0 points. And they really needed a reaction from that game. And I think they gave it against Tottenham. I actually think they played quite well against Tottenham. There was barely any proper chances. There were lots of kind of half chances for a team to score. And it was a real shame that right at the end, and it wasn't even particularly anything brilliant by Tottenham. It was just that moment of Johnson, he came and then he second guessed his decision. And in that moment, it just gave Kane the opportunity just to put it over him, and he didn't have a chance to react. Yeah,
they just needed a break with some of those half chances just to go in. But score prediction, what do you take this for?
I think Manchester United have more than enough, and I know it depends which Manchester United turn up, but I do think they have more than enough tools to hurt West Brom enough to get 3 points. So I am going with 2-0 Manchester United.
Okay, I feel like West Brom will get a goal, so I'm going 2-1 Man United.
Next up, we roll over into Sunday, and it is Fulham versus Everton, taking place at Craven Cottage at midday. Now, I'm going to touch on the performance quickly by Fulham. I have to say, I don't think they played particularly well, and they're going to really be looking to bring a better performance against Everton. And I wanted to do the performance quickly because I also want to touch on, not so lightly, I'm very sorry, Fulham fans, but I want to talk about that penalty. Firstly, it takes bollocks.
Takes a lot of bollocks.
It takes bollocks.
At the end of the game, to try and do that, takes a lot of bollocks. And I like looking at that.
And when it goes well, it goes Zidane World Cup well in a final. And he walks around with his massive testes. When it goes bad, fuck me, it looked bad.
Yeah.
It looks bad. And would they have deserved a point? Yeah, I don't think so. But they should have taken a point there. They should have scored that. But I don't think Lookman's going to be on penalty duty anytime soon.
I don't mind a Panenka. It's just that you're doing it for a team that is desperate for points in a survival bid. So, yeah, you can't do that. And
a point can be the difference between relegation. So both penalties and performance needs to be better against Everton.
Everton. They've lost their solidarity. They just don't look... Obviously, they went through such a great purple patch at the beginning of the season. And, Man United, they went 1-0 up with a very clever goal, very cheeky goal by Bernard. And it could have been that counter-attacking performance where they just suck in Man United and, go on the break. But it wasn't to be. I think they didn't plug the holes in their midfield. And Man United got at them quite cleverly. And they conceded some really poor goals. Both of them. You can't concede a header from that distance, even though it was a great header. And, basically a cross that turns into a goal. That was really poor. But forget about this one and focus on picking up the points against Fulham.
What's your prediction for this one?
I'm going with Everton. I think Fulham's confidence might be far too short to pick up points here.
I'm going to be bold, and I'm going to think Parker's going to get into them, that good old tenacious Scotty Parker, and they're going to come out fighting. So I'm going to give them a chance of a 1-1.
Okay, you're going 1-1. I'm going 3-1 Everton. Now, Sheffield United versus West Ham, 2:00 on Sunday. Sheffield United, I'm getting worried. I am getting worried. This is relegation form, and everyone is in agreement that their squad is more than good enough to stay up in the Premier League, but it's getting worrying now. And then they don't have a lot of firepower going forward, and they managed to get that first goal against Chelsea, which was so perfect for them. They really wanted that, but they just couldn't handle the Chelsea wave, and they conceded some really silly goals. Glancing headers from a corner and lots of set pieces and crosses from.
I was going to say goals that we don't really expect Sheffield United to score if we base it on the last season.
Yeah,
to concede, sorry.
Yeah, exactly. So they got their goal, and if they go behind, you just don't see them coming back. So yeah, it's worrying times for Sheffield United. For
West Ham, we did just touch on. We won't talk about the penalty again. We'll save the Fulham fans from that. But they played quite well against Fulham. I felt when Soucek got that goal, it was a good goal, and I felt like they kind of deserved it. Even though, if you may remember, I actually had them down to draw because that was just the type of game that they would draw. And until Lookman missed that penalty, I would have been banged on. But he went and missed it in the last minute as well. But West Ham...
They were cracking the woodwork time after time in that game.
What, was it 2 or 3 in the end?
Yeah, something like that. Ridiculous. They should have scored way more.
Yeah, they were knocking on the door, and I think what will be really positive for West Ham fans is the performance form. Is week in, week out, they've played quite well, and even against some of the top teams, they've managed to put in good performances. So I think they'll really be hoping they can keep this form going.
Yeah, and welcome to the Premier League. Is it Ben Rama? He set up a goal for the winner and then concedes a penalty. That's the highs and lows of the Premier League for you right there.
I wasn't going to bring that up. That's on you.
But score predictions, what you got?
I'm going for 2-1 West Ham.
Wow. Okay. I'm going 1-1. I think Sheffield United will have a response. They need it. They need something soon.
The issue I have is I didn't give West Ham... I said West Ham would draw last time and they won, so I'm going to back them this time, just for them to make me eat my own words, as most teams like to do. So next up, it is Leeds versus Arsenal. It is taking place at 4:30 on Sunday at Elland Road. Now, things were looking okay for Leeds. They were picking up points, and they were looking like they was going to be maybe the surprise newcomers of this Premier League season. But the last 2 games, they've had 4-1 twice in a row. And what's even kind of stranger about that is I feel like the description of their performances could also probably be copied and pasted from the Leicester game to the Palace game, where they conceded goals where they weren't conceding a lot of chances, but they were individual/team mistakes to give the team very good chances to score, which the other teams took. Does that make sense if I explain that to you, Gary?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the goals they conceded were really bad, though. I'd say Meslier was caught off his line, twice. Include the own goal and the header. It's and the Ayew goal. Yeah, you throw a blanket all over the defense. That was not a back line, so they're really shooting themselves multiple times in the foot, and they're capable of better. That's the problem.
Yeah, well, that's why I would say, like, if you kind of take out those mistakes, which you wouldn't expect from this Leeds side, they've actually put in good performances. But if they carry on making these mistakes, it might be a long old season.
Yeah, definitely. Arsenal.
But before we go on to that, and also just shout out to Bamford's armpit hair, which was offside. Do we apologise to him?
No,
I don't know.
I don't understand. I mean, it's just shitty old VAR again. Arsenal. Ooh, that was a real turd of a performance. I think these teams, they're really planning for Arsenal because they know Arsenal have really no bite in attack if you just sit back and you have the perfect front line in Aston Villa, Jack Grealish, Ollie Watkins, Barkley, and we even have Douglas Luiz, who had an outstanding game, trapping and pressing the Arsenal midfielders, and we had absolutely no answer for it for 90 minutes. I think that's the worst. That is the worst performance I've seen under Mikel Arteta since he's taken over. And I hope this international break, he will really think about how he wants to set up Arsenal. We're in a bit of a weird transition period where we know we can't unleash the attack right now because we're not solid enough defensively.
Yeah. So what's your prediction for this one?
I think there's mistakes on both teams. I'm going 2-2. I'm really going 2-2 for both.
You know what? I think I've got the exact same train of thought as you, because I'm thinking that if either team, they can both got the ability to score some great goals. They've also got the ability to absolutely concede some howlers. Yeah. So I think I'm going to agree with you and go with 2-2.
And if Thomas Partey ain't there, we could lose this easily. Oh well. Next up is Liverpool versus Leicester, Sunday at 7:15. And it's a good old injury crisis at Liverpool. Trent Alexander-Arnold's out, Van Dijk's out, Henderson's out, Salah's got the COVID, and who else? I'm missing someone else, aren't I?
Robertson,
Gomez,
Gomez.
So
I've got the whole. I'll tell you what, Gary. I've got the whole list here: Robertson, Thiago, Alexander-Arnold, Gomez, Salah, Henderson, Van Dijk, and Oxlade-Chamberlain. There you go.
yeah, Jota versus 11 Leicester players. It seems like, Liverpool. They got away with it. I felt against Man City. They went 1-0 up first, and it was a very underrated move what Mane did. So Walker, he jumped the 1-2, and Mane, in a split second recognized that and went in on goal and got the penalty. I thought that was super intelligent. But yeah, they got overrun by Man City. Man City really played well. So I know Liverpool have got an injury crisis, so it's hard to. They're so good that they could easily pull this out of the bag, but you can't have any expectations when you have like 7 players out. So I feel bad for Liverpool.
You may think Liverpool are the only team with an injury crisis, but let me assure you, they are not. Leicester, as per Premier Injuries, which is what we use for the Liverpool players just now, they currently have the following players out for Leicester: Soyuncu, Castagne, Fofana, Pereira, Schmeichel, Ndidi, and Armate. All
Battle of the B teams, then, isn't it?
It's very much a battle with the B teams. But I have to say, Leicester are currently on very good form. They've got 3 wins in a row. I went a bit Roy Hodgson there. 3 wins in a row. The last being a 1-0 win against Wolves, where I actually think they played quite well and they deserved the win. They had that dodgy handball. What did you think of that, real quick, by the way?
Well, yeah, if I was a defender, I'd be really pissed off at conceding that, because it's like you can't do anything about it. But I mean, the referee's done a stinker with this, and they just have to be consistent for the rest of the league. Yeah,
that's absolutely fair. But I think if we was unsure about the first penalty, I think the second penalty, I think that was definitely a pen, which a rarity for Jamie Vardy to miss a penalty. But it was quite a good penalty. It just it looked like his nutsack in the end saved it, right?
Yeah. But score predictions. This is a tricky one. We said it's battle of the B teams. Who are you going for?
I'm going to go with Liverpool 2-1. I mean, they do have half their team out, as do Leicester. It's so difficult with so many players out injured. It's so difficult to tell. So for me, it was basically a flip of the coin. So I went 2-1 Liverpool.
I know. I'm going Leicester 2-1. I kind of have this feeling that Liverpool, they thrive on games like this. Klopp thrives on games like this where no one expects them to win. They've got an injury crisis and everyone wants them to lose, but he makes them win. But yeah, I think Leicester going to take it.
Next up is Burnley versus Crystal Palace. It is taking place at 5:30 on Sunday at Turf Moor. And Burnley, look, all cards on the table. Things are looking quite shite for Burnley at the moment. They're not creating enough chances. They're not scoring any goals. They haven't scored any goals in the last 4, to be precise. And they didn't look like they was particularly close to scoring against Brighton. Brighton, I think, were the better team. They created the better chances. In the end, I think it was Brighton who probably went home, hoping that wishing that they managed to score 3 points, where Burnley probably more held on to the 1 point. And I don't know whether that Daesh magic of being able to grind out draws and like kind of 1-0 wins has maybe gone, but I'd say it's definitely not looking good for Burnley at the moment, because they're conceding a handful of goals and they're really, really not creating that many chances at all.
Yeah, and it seems from the outside, Sean Dyche's probably not happy with lack of investment, and will he stay on? And Tarkowski as well is like, it's not looking great, but
Yeah, well, that's the thing, because it's all supposed to be centred around that takeover, right? And that's supposed to be good news. So hopefully that sorts itself out soon, so Burnley can get back on track to hopefully staying in the Premier League.
Yeah. And Crystal Palace, I was very critical of them last week, and they showed me up completely. They really, really don't know what Crystal Palace team comes up. Maybe it's just the type of game that they need to be suited to like break and counter, and some cracking goals by Crystal Palace. Was it Dan?
Is it
that header?
Well, Dan. Yep, Dan. Well, it's a free kick. How can you not bring?
Oh yeah, I mean,
yeah. What a brilliant free kick.
That was a great free kick, but I really love that goal by Dan. I don't know why I love that headers in the top right corner from a corner. But Eze, yeah, great finish.
And what a signing.
Yeah. Crystal Palace, they just look like they have a front four of like super athletic players, and they just break out in numbers. And they have the quality in Zaha, who basically takes up 2 players at a time, and he had a good involvement in 2 goals. He released Eze down the left, and he set up the goal for Ayew as well. So they're looking good. But against Burnley, I don't know, man. This game is set up to be like.
It's set up to be a 0-0. Burnley, they're not.
It's a negative versus a negative almost. It feels like the type of style they play.
Yeah, as you say, Palace like to get in behind. No one gets in behind Burnley because they don't attack enough. And when they do defend, they defend deep. So, as you could probably predict, my prediction for this is 0-0.
I was going 0-0 as well. But just to make it different, I'm going to go 1-1. Wolves versus Southampton, Monday, 8 o'clock. Another poor VAR call for Wolves. It's not been their type of season the last season and a half. But it was a very good save by Patricio to keep them in it. And you know what? In the last couple of games, Wolves were definitely picking up points, but they weren't scoring a lot. They were essentially scoring a goal a game, and it's kind of come back to bite them. They're not free-flowing in attack, which we know Wolves can be. And yeah, they got stung by a bad decision. So they'll be really looking to, I think, score more than 1 goal against Southampton. But you don't know.
Well, they come up against a really, really difficult challenge with the informed team of the Premier League at the moment in Southampton. They're unbeaten in 5 and they've won 4 of those games. And there's no slouches in that run either. That includes the likes of Chelsea and Everton. Southampton have been playing really, really well, and I think
I'm impressed without Danny Ings as well. They got the win.
I was just about to say that against Newcastle, and I know Newcastle are one of those hit or miss teams. It does depend which Newcastle turns up, but without one of their main players, one of their better players, because he's not only been scoring goals, he's been providing assists as well. I thought they might struggle without Ings. But they just took it completely in stride. They played really well. They created excellent chances. They kept, I think Newcastle in the end, they only had 4 shots in total. They completely shut Newcastle out, and they scored some really good goals. There's an excellent goal by Armstrong in the end. And it was an excellent finish by Adams. So I think it was a really good performance by Southampton. And if I was a Wolves fan, I'd be a little bit wary of the Saints going into this.
So I can kind of guess where your score prediction is going to go with this one.
Wolves.
7-0. Go. Who you going for?
I'm going for 2-1 Southampton.
Okay. You know what? I'm going to go 1-0 Wolves. Wolves can't score many, but I'm on their side. Let's go for 1-0. Anyway, that is all for this week. Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to fill in the survey, do your scoreboards, try and get at the top of the table, and we'll see you next time.
See you later, guys.